I'm wrapping it up. I see in this august group that anything I would say is just a simple Marine would be, and I know that my colleagues sitting up here with me, they know that I have kind of a unique sense of humor. There is nothing funny about poor spending policy. There's nothing humorous about a governmental entity at whatever level that doesn't take itself serious in what its role is to provide the environment where others within the private sector, working together with the public sector, could do good things for the American people that they are honored to represent. So having said that, I got a couple of questions. Oh, by the way, I'm a Marine. I already mentioned that. I am not cheap. I am frugal. Because as the Marines, we know we're always going to be, for the most part, initially under-resourced. But we don't hesitate to go look for what we need when we need it. So, Mr. Hodge, President Biden has repeatedly promised that he would not increase tax burdens on those making less than $400,000. In fact, we heard last week one of his folks reiterating that's not going to happen. You know, but I don't necessarily see that in this budget. Do the proposals in his budget live up to that promise?
Well, there's a question of directly or indirectly, and perhaps directly they have avoided taxing directly people earning under $400,000, but people earning under $400,000 will be severely impacted by the collateral effects of these tax increases, whether it's increasing the corporate tax rate, increasing taxes on small businesses, et cetera. There will be an impact on those folks, and it will not be good. Our estimates are that at least 335,000 people will lose their job because of these tax increases. Most of those people earn under $400,000 a year. And so, yes, they will be impacted by it.
So, said a different way, just to make sure that, well, technically, if you make under $400,000 a year, your tax rate will not be affected.
Right.
But if you don't have a job, it really doesn't make any difference. Because if the taxes, as they're laid out, force a decrease in the number of those kinds of jobs that are available, you do, in effect, yeah, you're not paying any more taxes, but you're not able to pay your heating bills, you're not able to pay your, you know, all the things that it takes to raise your family. Am I correct in that assessment?
Absolutely. Everyone's standard of living will decline as a result.
Okay. How would, along that same line, how would the proposed tax increases in the budget affect small businesses that already are faced with some really tough decisions of that small business owner as it relates to the rampant inflation, you know, the broken supply chains, severe workforce shortages? And oh, by the way, before you answer that, I think the number that I heard was today, roughly 40% or less of those folks in the workforce were in the workforce in the late 70s under the Carter administration. Is that I mean, can you validate that as, that's a number that's been, but the fact, just look at the age. Look at the age of the workforce. You can tell if you're in the workforce today at age 40 years ago, you weren't in the workforce. You weren't even born. So the point is, almost half of our people in the workforce have no relative earlier experience in their life to compare what they're facing today. So getting back, affecting the small business.
Well, overall, the Biden budget is the largest attack on business, the largest tax increase on business perhaps in our history. Small business will be a big part of that with the increase in the various payroll taxes, the net investment tax, et cetera. It'll be a huge impact on small businesses across the board.
Okay. And, you know, there's a lot of, I'll just say, not exactly true information. True information can be just accidentally wrong, or it can be intended to be wrong, okay, to misinform. Could we close the budget deficits or pay for all of the progressives spending proposals like Medicare for All is one example, by simply cutting defense spending or just taxing the rich? Could we close the budget deficits by doing that?
At some point, Congressman, you run out of other people's money. And there's simply not enough wealth in the United States to tax in order to close this gap.
And along the same line, if, and this is a subject that we've heard, take the cap off of earnings, which you pay Social Security into. If we took all the caps off of Social Security, would that then, extra revenue coming in through payments, would that solve the deficit problem?
I don't believe so, no.
No, because I remember, because when Chairman Harrington and Congressman Estes and a couple of others came in on the Budget Committee 7 years ago now, I remember that was one of the first things that we were told. You could take all the caps off of the Social Security, and it's not even going to begin to be a dent in it. So I wanted to make sure we weren't living, by the way, I have a lot of acronyms in the military. You have acronyms for the acronyms in some cases. But this is a strong term. Some people could be offended by this. And I just take it for what it is. It's an acronym. And the acronym is LIAR, L-I-A-R, living in altered reality. You're not a bad person, but you're not in the real world. And what we are trying to do here is put the government, the federal government, and the spending into the real world that our citizens and our folks who work can make the best out of a temporarily bad situation. With that, I just want to thank you for what you do every day. Thank you, Chairman, for the unprecedented level of information flow on our committee that's helping us as members to come to grips with some tough decisions. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Well, to the general and my friend,